almost all of them were inventories. Almost all of them were people who had defaulted on deals, and so they were being reset at different prices, and the builders were just selling them off.
But we're here. We got some people out there.
We're doing fantastic.
We're doing fantastic. We got big news this week. We got bad news this week. We got good news this week. We got a great guest this week. We got all kinds of shit going on here, TK.
Just a great show altogether.
All together, a great show. Come on, come everybody to the Canadian Real Estate
Hey,
Show.
Sheridan, thanks, man. Hit the like button, folks. More great content and moments. It doesn't cost you anything but a click. Show your support. Hey, I couldn't have said it better myself.
No, you couldn't, and you didn't. And we have to thank Sheridan Forbes 3480 for that.
Long-time watcher, long-time fan of the show.
It's very true, TK. He has been here at least for a little while, and we don't know why, but we thank him. TK, what's going on this week? Anything new? What's happening?
Well, we definitely have seen a slowdown. It's a slow down. It's a good old-fashioned slowdown. You know the slow dance when people are, holding hands and nice and close, and that's just the pace is just real. Like, it's different from the when you're in the club and you're bouncing around, right? But that's what this is. It's a slow dance with the Toronto real estate market. Nothing is happening quickly. Okay, Michael Turner quickly. Not double subscribed. It's all right. We'll work on that. It's okay. We'll work on that. Don't worry.
Well, isn't that just a wonderful?
It's an interesting comment. It's an interesting comment.
Double subscribe. What does that mean, TK?
I don't know, but he's saying he's not double subscribed. So we won't hold that against you. At least you're single subscribed. At least.
Right.
But does that mean you're single subscribed?
Oh, do we have no volume on that?
I don't hear the audio on that.
Let's try that again. Sorry, technical glitch here. Sorry about that, TK. I'm learning on the fly here.
You're doing great.
Thank you, Don.
You are doing great. Thanks, Don. So yeah, it's a slow dance. Buyers are just moving slow. They like the house. I'm working on like 3 deals right now for the last weeks, where people are just not making decisions fast, and for good reason, right? Prices are coming down. Look at the Treb numbers in February. We're seeing this all over the GTA. I shared with you this week about that video in BC where there's a property that sold recently for $4.5 million. The same property sold for $4 million back in 2010. So you're talking about no gains in the Vancouver market for a 16-year period. Yeah. You shared with me some other property types that we can talk about where people are taking big losses. We had a property where we had an offer in November for $1,030,000, and they said no. And it was a separation. So it was one party saying no, the other party saying, please, oh God, yes. But the one party said no, so it didn't sell. So we kept it on the market. We kept working hard. We did everything we possibly could, and we ended up selling it this week for $937,000.
Oh, no.
So 3-4 months later, the property went down $100,000. This is in the Bowmanville area. And this is just what's going on out there. It's moving. The prices are eroding.
Look, guys, you have 2 options. You can either like and subscribe, in which case Darryl likes you, everything goes well in life, life is golden, or you don't, in which case you're dead to him. You're just dead to him. Go ahead. Click that button.
That is not good. And there's evidence of that, at least in the statistics. If you believe the statistics, we'll put this up on the screen. This is what everybody's kind of talking about right now. I don't know. Did that work, TK?
Yeah, I can see it. Great job, Darryl. Another win for the show. Woo-hoo. Yeah, detached house prices. Look at that. No one likes to see that 11.4% because we were always talking about the condo market, right? Like, the condo market's so bad, right?
It's not good. Well, I mean, people have been talking for a while that the detached market's kind of been hanging on, right? And clearly it has joined the club, it seems.
You've got a lot of different areas in the city, but for example, when you're in the 905 regions, this number is higher.
It doesn't say that here, though, does it?
It doesn't say that there because it's higher price point properties, right?
Well, this is what I was going to ask you. Is like, what's the mix here? Like, is it?
Yeah.
How many houses are actually selling? You know,
the number of like really expensive properties has now grinded to a halt. So all that luxury segment that you and I talk about all the time, that grinded to a halt. So you're going to see a more pronounced number. But just based on like what I'm seeing, like overall, like the city of Toronto has actually got a lot of stability in the 1.5 to $2 million price points detached houses. But once you go into the 905 areas, that's where you're just like ghost town.
Ghost town.
It's more and more listings.
905 is a ghost town. So, but I feel like last week the discussion was centered more around center of the city. You couldn't find enough inventory and everything was groovy.
Still true. I sold one this week in core city, core neighborhood in Toronto, and multiple offers, three offers, 100,000 over asking. Nice little Bloor West pocket. That's definitely what's going on in that area. You've got a lot of activity in those areas, and we watched all the listings around, all get sold, all sell fast, either sell on offer night or didn't sell on offer night but sold a couple days later still for over asking, like weird little situations. I showed another one this week that was at Center Toronto, like 2.3. They had 2 offers. We weren't interested, so we moved on. I didn't see what the final result was, but yeah, there's activity out there.
There's activity out there, but then you see stuff like this out there as well, where we're down 24% from peak, not adjusting for inflation, I suppose, or the CP lie, as our friend Luke likes to call it. It's not like the numbers are not. We should definitely try and get Luke back on the show. I don't know why he would, but I mean, this is the narrative at the moment. And it's weird because, we talk about bidding wars and bully offers. And then the next week, you're hearing about luxury condos breaking ground. And then, you see stuff like this where prices are down 11.5% and 30% off a peak. And it's kind of sending a couple of mixed signals, or maybe it's not sending mixed signals because.
Yeah. I mean, what have you bought lately that is anywhere close to the price that it used to cost? What give me an example of something where inflation hasn't jacked up the cost of that product or service? Where?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I was thinking that just before the show, and are we in a stagflationary kind of thing? Because I got a feeling, especially with all this war stuff going on, we're going to see a lot of inflation in things even more now, right? Like oil's going up like crazy, which means everything is going to go up like crazy. Isn't that how it works?
Yeah. As soon as prices goes up, especially diesel, especially when the price of diesel goes up and everybody's needing to, ship products and different things from one country to the next, from one province to the next, from one city to the next, everything just ends up going up. So we're going to start to see real pressure on inflation. If they actually report it honestly, then we'll start to see some changes. So the talk right now really is our rates going to end up going back up sooner than we thought? And is inflation
rates going to go up?
Is inflation going to get, it's like 90 something bucks a barrel right now. They're predicting maybe even 120 bucks a barrel on oil. Like you've got a lot of problems right now that are just, we don't have the answers to, but we know that if those things continue to persist, I don't know anybody who's making that much more money. I don't know anybody who's saying, I've got an opportunity to be able to take money, from somewhere else without compromising my investments. Everybody's tight right now. Even the most wealthy people are still looking at their finances and going, oh, hey, what do I need to do? And the stock market's not helping.
The stock market is not helping.
For sure. There's fear.
I'm surprised that Bitcoin didn't jump the way everybody expected it to. I feel like it's actually going the opposite direction that people thought it was going to go in. Isn't that the case?
Those big players are getting out. Yeah, the big players are saying to themselves,
"Suckers, we got them."
Is this now a good time? Right? Is this now a good time to pull?
It's
the
time.
Rug,
yeah,
right?
It's time, everybody.
Thanks, Steve.
Steve,
appreciate you, buddy.
Show. Yeah, appreciate Steve. We got a great guest lined up for everybody. I think he was on the best or most viewed show episode of the Canadian Real Estate Show of all time. So we should bring him back on. Well, that went perfectly
well.
Perfect,
you know,
didn't
guys,
it, TK?
we're working out. We got new software. We're bringing better content to you guys, better quality video, and we want to make sure that we're doing everything at the highest level. But you know what? There's gonna be some growing pains. This show has basically been nonstop growing pains. That is literally the slogan of the show.
Non-stop growing pains without the growth, TK. We've managed to pull that off perfectly. Hang on. Let's see if Mark figured it out. I wonder if there was something I could have done better, TK.
You sent me another project there, or another property that sold on, was it 106 Belmont?
Somebody mentioned on some social media platform that that lost $1 million. Yep. And so anytime I see these outrageous claims on online, I feel like I have to check them out, because I feel like generally people are picking, you know, things that match the narrative that they're trying to spread online. And most people get views by saying very nasty, negative things about everything.
Yep.
And so when I see $1 million loss, I think that maybe there's a story there. And it is, but I
just bought peak time. It was 2022, January 24th when they bought.
Well, I think there was a story behind the story that is even more important. Let me see if I can pull this one up, because this is interesting to look at if you look at the whole history.
Bought for $3,925. Whatever happened. Great neighborhood in the annex, but busy street. I didn't even show my buyers this house because I was like, why does anyone want to live on that street? But anyways, with that kind of money. But then they listed it again in 2025. So obviously whatever happened, usually it's interest rates, but you know, you never know. There could be personal stuff. They listed it at 4 million. They dropped it down to 3.65. They dropped it down to 3.35. And eventually they sold it for 2,908,000, which is actually pretty decent. Like, I mean, in that market right now, there was one on another condo townhouse on Birch, which is like just a little bit further north, closer to Yonge and St. Clair, and they were listed at 3.3. They just sold for 2.7. So they literally took 600 grand under asking in order to be able to get it moved.
See, here's the thing, TK. I mean, that's the current story, is the dummies that lost $1 million, you know, between here and here, right? Or no, where did they buy it? Sold between 3.925 and 2.908. But there's a whole other story down here, TK, that I think deserves some attention, right? Because this thing was bought and sold a few times, but it looks like somebody up here, where is it? They bought it to, I guess, to flip it. They paid, where is it?
It's a busy street.
Look at this. Yeah. 2.19 million they paid for it. Okay. It needed a renovation. I don't know if you were looking at the pictures I had up before, but they bought this thing for 2.2 with the plan to gut the shit out of it and bring it up to today's pricing and then sell it for a handsome buck, right? Because the next time it was listed was almost $4 million, and clearly that didn't work. So they tried to lease it for $13,000, and look, we're in 2019.
They did good. And they bought it peak time. So just so everybody knows, 2016 when they bought, that was like another crazy market leading up into the peak of 2017,
right?
First few months. So when they bought it for 2.2, that was even. This is what happens when the market is hot, is properties that would normally be stigmatized are no longer stigmatized because there's less availability. So a busy street, backing onto train tracks, backing onto the cemetery, all those things can be impacted during a down market much greater than when the market's going up. So this property was sold for really great numbers when the market's going up. Now it's going down. It's going to take a huge hit.
Yeah, but look, these guys lasted and stayed with it. Okay, 4.2, and they just stayed with it. They 3.98, they stayed with it, and then finally in 2022, right before the whole world realized, this is all gonna blow up. This is all a bad idea.
The market made him look like a genius. That's all it is. The market bails people out. That's what
the first guy made this guy look like a moron now, but the guys before him who were hanging on from like God knows when, right? Where did they buy this thing again? In 2016, they hung on till 2022 to get their $4 million bucks. Holy Jesus! But like, I think that's really the story behind this thing, because. What? Well, just the fact that somebody before them had to hang on for fucking 5 years. They didn't plan to do that. They've renovated this thing, hung on forever, flipped it to the next idiot. We're lucky enough to find the next idiot, right? And then the next idiot's the guy who got caught.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're not too stressed out from that and that you can function like a human for the rest of the day. I know you've been very busy. You look like you've been very busy. You look like a guy who's been traveling to China back and forth a lot.
I have been traveling to China lots of times, back and forth. Listen, China's the new gold rush, man. I'm beginning to realize that more and more. It's something else. It's I've been there. I've been there 3 times in the past year, actually, on business, and primarily Guangzhou, but also Shenzhen. And what's happening out there is just unbelievable. I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with Canadian real estate, but at the same time, it does. I mean, the innovations that are taking place out there, it's unlike anything I've ever experienced. Really, it's a whole different world.
I've been sending Darryl the articles of them building hotels and towers in 19 days and all that kind of stuff, because like there's got to be some use here in the Canadian construction industry with all the technology that's coming out of China.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the most fascinating thing about China is actually the tech stacks. So I'll explain what that means. Like, do you guys want me to go into this? I'm happy to go into this.
We're here. We've already started.
All right. So,
no thanks.
Like, consider cars, okay? Because I'm actually helping to bring Chinese cars into Canada. That's part of what my mandate is. So consider cars. They have drones. Okay? And when I say they have drones, I mean in their dealerships, they are selling drones that you fly in. Like, we're not talking about a better car. We're talking about a totally different apparatus. Now, the interesting thing about drones, I mean, a North American goes, that's so cool. And we kind of all like look at the drone and we all like touch the drone and we all get a picture of us flying in the drone and ooh, we're in the future. But what's really cool about the drone has nothing to do with the drone itself, because Jetson One, as an example, is a drone company here in North America that makes an equivalent drone, similar to, like, you know, our Teslas here are somewhat equivalent, maybe less or so, but they're somewhat equivalent to the EV cars that exist in China. China has a better technology, whatever it may be. The interesting thing about the drones is not the drone sale itself. It's the room next door to the drones at headquarters that they bring you into. And they show you what is necessary in order to launch a drone. Because to launch one drone in a city, no problem, anyone can do it. But to launch 2, well, that's a near impossibility. Because when you launch 2 drones in a city, you need to have air traffic control. You need to have security. You need to have AI that's actually monitoring. You can't have private ownership of drones because, unlike a car, if you don't do your maintenance, you fall out of the sky. And there's a whole range of other components. But it goes well beyond just a drone. It actually deals with the built environment of a city. And this is where it kind of touches on real estate. Because in China, they're not just developing drones, they're developing overhangs for buildings. Because after all, parking is about to become a useless feature, right? Parking is at the bottom of a building. You need to park a drone at the top of a building. You need to redesign your buildings for drone overhangs. You need to be able to have the electricity and the networks to support. And electricity is a place where China is so far ahead of North America that it's actually their most forward-looking advantage. And we can talk about that in a second. But the be-all and end-all is a drone is not a drone. The tech stack of a drone is important. Now, let's take this over to Canada, where we just celebrated a quinceañera for a railroad line, an LRT, that goes at 10 kilometers an hour, which you can outrun using, you know, I could probably outrun, and I'm not in the greatest of shape right now because of all these trips back and forth. And you can suddenly understand why North America has no choice but to accede to Chinese technologies long term. It's because when we start seeing the Chinese people fly around in drones and their cities converting to drones, we're going to say we want that. And when we do, we're going to have a built-out environment that has the inability to create a subway line, a technology that is exactly 100 years old at this point. And yet we're going to be asking to convert our entire cities to the ability to actually start flying these things? Well, no. We're obviously just going to take the tech stacks that have been built out and move from there. And that's the difference really between China and Canada. And I can speak to that in terms of electricity, which is their big push. I can speak to that in terms of computer chips. I can speak to that in terms of everything. But I personally am involved in bringing certain infrastructure projects, and particularly automobiles and chargers and the like, into the Canadian market. So I'm experiencing the difference really firsthand between China and Canada.
What challenges do you think we face? I mean, I want to see these buildings get built faster. I want to see, and Darryl, you can comment on this too. I want to see factories where we're doing more modular style homes. I want to be able to put together a building in 19 days too. What's stopping us from doing that? Pretend like I'm an idiot, okay? All right, that was too easy. Talk to me like I know nothing about construction on a high-rise building. How do we get what they are doing over here?
Can I identify the problem and the solution? The problem is one that you know. The problem is one you know. It's inertia. We have one of the worst bureaucracies. We have an ossified bureaucratic method that requires you to do so much to put a shovel in the ground. I don't need to tell you this. Darryl's online, and TK, you know this stuff. If you want to build a building, a simple building, like put up a washroom in the sky, the amount of consultations, the amount of beyond the land assembly, like after you have it all, after you're right, I'm ready to put money into this project, you're looking at years and years and comments, and none of that is the case in China. None of it is the case in China. China provides very little by way of regulatory oversight, which has its good and its bad, but in this instance permits it to massively scale. And it's not just buildings, it's also infrastructure lines. If anyone wants to have a fun time, just type in subway line Chengdu in Toronto, and you can see over the past 10 years exactly what Chengdu looked like, which is a mid-tier city in China, versus Toronto's development of 3 lines since then. I mean, it's a joke.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So it is on us that we have an ossified, bureaucratic, highly regulated system that even someone like myself, who kind of hems to liberal bents, just looks at it and says, "This is absolutely crazy." Like, as an example, before I go to the solution, as an example, that LRT project that I just talked about that had a quinceañera, we aren't even doing a retrospective, but I mean, to my mind, it was the easiest thing in the world to do. When we were putting out our request for proposals on it, one of the prime determinants of the request for proposals, one of the simple things that should have been a requirement, is 24-hour work schedules. If you're disrupting the entire fucking city for 14 years, or what was planned to be 9 years, you can significantly cut that down if the RFP that you issue says there must be 24-hour work schedules, as opposed to you're stopping at 5 o'clock. I mean, just think about that. Like, we don't even think dynamically about public projects, because we are so built into this understanding that we are the world's leaders, we have the best systems, and there's really nothing to learn from except perhaps by looking to the United States. And that's the way we've kind of constructed our society since World War II. We haven't been wrong to do it, because since World War II until about 2010 or so, the United States was undisputedly the world's leader in tech and development and everything else. There's now a new leader, and that brings me to the solution. There is no one today that goes to China and does not come back inspired. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot to criticize. I'm not trying to say this is a panacea. I'm not trying to say that the Uyghurs are having a glorious time out in China and the Tibetans are sitting there holding hands singing Kumbaya. Like, I get it. Thank you for that. It's a surveillance state. I didn't realize that was part of the show, but I'm glad to know it. It's a surveillance state, right, guys? There's a lot of repression. We could go into it, but frankly, that's all that North Americans care about. And then when they go to China, their eyes are open and they say, "Oh crap! Like, we are ages
ancient." Yeah.
I had a particular meeting which was unbelievably eye-opening. I'm having meetings I shouldn't really have, but whatever. I had a meeting with Huawei, which was the thing that Canada got into a fight with that Two Michaels thing a couple of years ago. But I was in Huawei headquarters out in Shenzhen, and I was there with someone, and they're very open about what their strategy is. They're very open about how they intend to take over the world. And he looked at me and he said, we are so originally, and I can talk about the Chinese progression for your audience if they're interested in how China became China as an industrial behemoth. The story is fascinating because it's a conjunction of private and public, and I could go into it. But basically, they've taken over autos, they've taken over phones. Like, how many of you don't even understand what's going on out there? How many of you have even heard of the world's second biggest operating system, Harmony OS? None of you. You're sitting there saying, am I Android, am I iOS? Well, half of the world, most of the world is sitting there saying, are you Harmony, right? It's a totally different operating system run by China because they run the phones now. Like Tesla is number 5 in terms of car production and falling fast within China. Apple creates the 4th most popular phone out there. Our North American technologies are not seen in any way as comparable. And what happens is China identifies an industry, replicates the industry, becomes better than its North American counterparts, and then produces. That's the structural change. And they've done this critically. And right now they're doing it in lithography. Lithography is what creates the NVIDIA chips, right? And so I was having a discussion with these guys about NVIDIA chips. And they said, look, we're probably 1-2 months behind NVIDIA's top chip. And it doesn't really matter to us. And I said, well, why is that? They said, because we produce power at a rate that North America can't even contemplate. They didn't say it exactly like this, but I'm paraphrasing what they said. China just talks very bluntly. They don't try to compare themselves this way. But I'm doing it for the purposes of making this more exciting, and so you can get a different volume thingamajiggy on after I'm done, like it has applause or something. So they produce technology that is in his words, he said, we produce power so much cheaper than you guys that while you're sitting there invading Venezuela or Iran for oil, we're getting off this shit entirely. But more importantly, we're producing it at scales you can't imagine. And it's true. China has, in the last year, one single year, this last year, produced 1 terawatt of additional power. 1 terawatt of additional, the United States consumes 1.3 terawatts per year. They added 1 terawatt in power, largely through solars and primarily solar, actually.
Nuclear.
But
They
also
had like 35 new nuclear reactors just in the last.
Yeah, but it's not the nuclear that's actually pushing it. And their coal is falling now. For the first time ever, their coal is falling, not stopping to go up. It's falling. And they are now producing mass-produced solar. And the interesting thing, if you want to check this out, right, because I know the comments that are going to come, he's a China lover and God knows what. I mean, like, sure, say it, but go, before you say that, and go to Google Maps and go to Tibet.
We have a caller here that wants to ask you a question. Mark, hang on one sec. Let's
sure. But I'm at the crux.
We're going to get to it after. We're going to get to it.
I don't think they care, but they got a question for you. Hang on a sec.
All right, hit it.
Holy cow, I can't believe I got on again. Thanks, guys. It's
Chet.
me, Chet from Alberta. Thanks for taking the
Hey,
call.
buddy.
I'm a super big fan. I can't believe last week you guys have Tom's story, and now you guys have Mark Morris. They're like my 2 favorite people. You guys must be able to read my mind. Mark, I just wanted to know if you're hiring over at Legal. Whatever the fuck.ca. I love you, Mark. Fuck Steve Garish.
What the heck is
Are you
going
hiring,
on?
Mark?
At Legal, whatever
Chet
the
seems
fuck?
qualified.
We are actually. We're expanding pretty massively. I can talk to you about what's happening in the real estate market now. It's pretty crazy. There's been a market change in the market.
Really?
It's starting to. I don't know if we've hit bottom. Yeah. You'll hear it from me. I'm not the only one saying this now, but I'm seeing a sea change right now. We could talk about it in a second. But yes, to whoever that was screaming into the phone, that's exactly what we're looking for. So a 100% doesn't even need a second interview. That's all he needs to do. That's it. He's invited in.
Yeah. He'll follow up with the leads.
I'm just going to finish this up because it's really interesting. Go to Google Maps, type in the Tibetan solar field. 500 square kilometers of solar was built. Square kilometers. That is to say, the distance between Toronto and Montreal squared was built as a solar field in Tibet. And they have hydroline technologies that are massively advanced, way more advanced than anything in North America, that can bring that power directly to Shenzhen and Guangzhou. Yeah. And so what they're doing is they're producing, people from North America are constantly saying, yes, they're using nuclear, they're using oil, they're using gas. They are using everything, but China doesn't have oil and gas. It's not a resource, and it sees it as a strategic vulnerability. This is not out of good nature that it's doing this. It's not because they're looking to save the planet and sing kumbaya, guys. It's because they don't have oil, and if they don't have oil, then it is a massive problem for them. And so solar and wind are the nuclear too, are the answers to that. And coal and nuclear take too long to spin up. If you can deploy whole solar fields in a single year, generating 1 terawatt of electricity, you're good. And so what Huawei said to me is they said, we don't care about NVIDIA. Because if we have to put in 2 chips for every 1 chip that they put in, our power costs are 1/10. And that's the interesting thing. The interesting thing is that they're going to use their resources of power. It's not 1/10, by the way. I just made that number up. But it's significantly less. To a point where they can double their chips and they can still be more efficient. They do have a water issue. Which is, by the way, why they are waiting for a slow bleed of Russia. Lake Baikal is the largest deep water fresh source of water in the world. Lake Baikal is part of the traditional Chinese claims, and Lake Baikal is just on the northern side of China. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to wait till Russia is sufficiently depleted, and my guess is that they're going to make claims on that water, but they are able to get off oil and gas, which is not a resource that they can easily produce without dependencies, by moving to these newfound technologies, which are, as an ancillary point, producing cost-effective power. And by the way, that directly affects the building industry, and that directly affects everything, because energy is a prime component of every single thing that we do. And that's the critical component. And they're doing things, they also bring down raw material costs in really interesting ways. So what Huawei showed me is that they have now transformed Asian shipping, not transatlantic shipping, not trans-Pacific shipping yet, but they're now transferring, their ships are now becoming electrified. So how the containers that they have, these containers are just batteries. And what they do is they take 16 of them, they slot them into the slot of decks, and now there's no bunker oil. And they're able to just basically electrify their ships, which has the cost of allowing their products to fall massively. So suddenly you can import steel from Indonesia, and it's not an issue with costs because you're now using electrified solar-generated electricity in order to do it. And so there's it's not just a simple answer. There's an ecosystem that's being built out there that we are not a part of, that we are not privy to, that has to do with tech stacks, that has to do with electricity generation, that has to do with production, that has to do with a willingness to embrace free trade, which North America is turning against. But the good news is that Canada now has its attention on China, and I will affirm for everyone else that China now has its attention turned on Canada, and hopefully that will net some progress, because right now we're ossified. We're ossified and we're second rate.
We've got all kinds of problems, and that actually brings us to our field agent, Mark, if you can stick around, because you're a lawyer. We wanted to get your opinion on this because I'm pretty sure that this is a legal issue. Hang on, let's go. I think he's out west this week, if I'm not wrong, TK?
Yeah. He's out in BC this week, so.
Holy Jesus, how does this guy, do we have a budget for this guy flying around every week?
He works for free, actually.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, but
legal closing can't have him. No.
How does he get on these planes? Hang on a sec. Let's go out west to our favorite field reporter, TK.
A message from
Kip Conahan.
Kip Conahan here, coming at you boys live from Vancouver. I'm doing the coast to coast news, boys. You're hearing everything from me and I ain't holding back. This week, can you believe it? Carney signed away the whole bloody Vancouver City. Ha ha! I scream, you scream, we all scream for the Musqueam First Nations tribe. They own everything, those guys now. They got so many rights over there, you won't believe it. I can't believe this country's going to hell. You boys know what I really think, right? But your pansy-ass podcast show, I gotta watch my mouth. But let me tell you something, boys. I'm reporting on this stuff, and I'm giving you the facts, because if it ain't in the news, it probably never happened. We'll see you boys next week, okay? Interesting.
He's kind of more like Hulk Hogan than he is Kip Conant these days.
Was he? Yeah, I don't know. He's a little
What-
Hulk
what
Hogan there. So what's going on, Mark? I mean, that's a big decision this week that, another area in BC is giving up their rights to their natural resources here. What's going on?
Well, first of all, I want to share with you an expression we have at Legal Closing, which is quality with a K. And I believe that video was quality with a K right there.
We'll tell Kip. We'll tell Kip.
I can't speak to what's happening out in BC, although obviously it's a clusterfuck. Clearly, land rights are the primal. They're the reason that things work in a North American culture. That they're the reason it works based on the Westminster style of parliament that was devised out by King Eddie back in 1200. And then, I mean, the idea that land is sacrosanct, that you can build your home and ultimately have a claim, that is the basis upon which people make investments. And out in BC, something is taking place which I don't understand, and I don't feel qualified to speak. I will, however, tell you that there is, and this is where I could share some insight, there is a fundamental difference between land claims out in BC and land claims out in Ontario because of the way that they were formed. In Ontario, and again, I'm not a native specialist, so please feel free to correct me, but from what I remember from law school and from discussions I've had with people, in Ontario, there were agreements between the Crown and Native tribes, which mean that our land is not subject to the same type of claims that exist out in BC. This does not in any way mean that the clusterfuck in BC is not going to have massive effect and may even affect Ontario. It is, however, to say that if you were expecting those same types of claims that are currently taking place in the BC mainland to affect Ontario, no, those are not precedents that will be set here. Our land is, to this point, who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, they weren't thinking this a few weeks ago in Vancouver, I'm sure.
Right. So, I don't feel like I can speak about Native claims on land. It's just not my area, and I shy away from it.
Well, it's an easy picture to paint, which is how many people are now going to want to invest. And, especially our friends in China there, right, Mark? That's a big Chinese population moving out to Vancouver. And obviously that market's been pumped more than any other market in the whole entire country, right? Vancouver was the highest prices in Canada for a long time. And why would they want to invest in a place where they may not even understand what their legal rights are on their land? I mean, that market there, we gave an example at the beginning of the show where a house just sold for $4.5 million that was bought for $4 million in 2010. So 16 years later, after all taxes and fees, it's you're netting $0 because that high end market is going to disappear when you have these type of land claims. I mean, whether they hold any weight or not.
Who's going to put money? Okay, it's different. Let's differentiate. The Chinese money that's coming in for industrial development is not going to stop. And the reason for that is because it was already the case that if you wanted to build a massive silver mine or oil pipeline or anything else, you were already negotiating and getting the ascension of the native Canadian parties. So that's not going to stop that because the very people who have the claim are the people that have been negotiated with for decades regardless. It is one of the reasons it takes so long to do anything, but we were already negotiating there. The problem is, as you say, the residential market where no one has negotiated anything and everyone believed that, well, I have a right. I came from Ontario. I came from Louisiana, whatever it is. I know what property rights are. I own the property. Done. And this is fundamentally undermining that understanding. I think you have to bring a BC lawyer on to explain what's happening. I actually have someone I could recommend. My cousin actually functions in the space in BC. He runs one of the large firms out there for this. I'd be happy to have him come on your show and you could speak to him about it. I can't speak to BC law, and I certainly can't speak to BC native law, other than to say I share your concerns. I don't understand how things work if you don't have fundamental belief in the land that is underneath your feet. I just don't get it.
It hasn't happened here yet, but I can guarantee you that the Vancouver market is going to be impacted by this, and that there's other market factors and influencers that are underneath the surface right now that are basically affecting the whole global economy, but particularly North America. And I think that Vancouver now is going to have an extra layer once that foreign investment into the residential market starts to disappear, because those prices are inflated. When you start to look at what people are buying in Vancouver, it's clearly inflated. Like it doesn't make any sense why those prices
never made sense.
What you're talking about is pricing and a degree of risk. Right now, Ontario and BC markets have been largely equivalent. That is to say, the risk profiles of both. Neither of them were going to go to war. Neither of them were going to lose the underlying land underneath them. They were seen as somewhat equivalent markets. It's not like investing in China, where when you invest, you have to say, well, will the government take my money, right? Like that's not a factor. But BC in recent years has been undermined by several factors. Climate is one. Insurability of condos is another out in BC. Land claims are now something else. And eventually, all of this risk needs to be priced into pricing. Eventually, it will find its way in. And fortunately, in Ontario, it's so rare that we're able to point to Ontario and say we're doing stuff. We don't have any of these underlying risks. The risk profile, I'm not saying to you the market profile, the risk profile remains the same in Ontario that it was 10 years ago. And that is something for which I think you guys and I can breathe a sigh of relief.
Yes, and I think we should talk to you more about that. We have another report, though, right before we get into this. And we know...
What, quality with a K? Quality with a K. Let's do it.
Only with a K over here at the Canadian
Only with a K. Absolutely. But, I mean, clearly you don't know what you're talking about with BC land claims, so we'll move into a topic that you clearly should have knowledge on, and that's this condo market. But before we get into it over here, well, let's have a quick word from one of our sponsors.
Like, comment, subscribe. I'm double subscribed. You should be double subscribed. And I fixed the show.
Everybody's getting a piece of the action here.
What? Holy smokes.
No, but now we have...
Falling out the cast today.
You remember a guy named Preconstruction, TK?
Yeah. He's been out of business for a little while, so I figured...
Yeah. We couldn't find him anymore. I think he's somewhere under a bottle, but we did find a buddy of his. Precon John is live here in another studio. Let's get him going.
Okay.
It's me, Precon John. Hey, TK and Darryl, thanks for having me on your show. I appreciate the support. I could use it. That's for sure. Nothing really going on around here, but, we're trying to keep busy because... eventually, that foreign investor ban will be lifted, I believe, January 2027. And until then, we're just going to stick around and we're going to stay apprised of the news. Okay, so we're going to stay together here. We're going to have a good time. And we're going to read the headlines of the day. Okay, let's get into these headlines for the week, okay? Developers delaying launches as investors' demand collapses. Very interesting strategy. Hang on one moment, please. Oh, jeez. Okay. Preconstruction buyers struggling to close. Okay, that one hurts a little bit. I know a little bit about that one. One moment, please. Oh, jeez. Buy now before the next phase release, everybody. Downtown for... Oh, that's an old email. Don't worry about that one. Toronto real estate is only going up, everybody. You heard it here first. Just wait long enough and it'll always go up. Yeah... Okay, bye guys. Hey, it's me, Precon John, and I'm here to tell you everything's okay, bitches. Oh,
all right.
Guys, I'm just going to suggest this. If you ever need a spokesperson, I understand the Save Max guys, who are very gung ho, are totally available to assist as well. So
I'll bet.
Just throw that out there.
And cheap. Well, so what's going on in the pre-construction world right now?
So since 2021, every single time I come on the show, I'm always feel so depressing, and it sucks to be depressing because when you're depressing, you get likes, and everyone applauds you and tells you you're brilliant because you're feeding into their stereotypes that things are going downhill. And so the easiest thing in the world for someone to do to get applauded on your show or anyone else is come out, tell everyone that they're fucking morons for having made investments. Things are only going to get worse. And to be fair to most people since 2022, that's actually been correct. So it's not as if there wasn't validity behind that. But, you know, guys, at some point we're going to have a bottom. And
we're going to have a what?
We're going to have a bottom.
I heard bottle. I heard bottle, but he's talking about
bomb.
But he said bottom.
He said bottom. You have the bottle before the bottom.
Okay.
We've had the bottle.
John, speak on John right now.
I believe we're now actually starting to see the remnants of stability in our market. And I'm going to explain what I'm seeing right now. Because again, this is just me in my office of 100 and change deals per month, just watching what's happening. So let's first start with, I know I need a better mic. I had a better mic. I was in my studio with my mic, man. Come on. It's not my fault. All right. So we're starting to see the remnants of recovery. And I'll explain. First off, it is true that there is no one launching new products. But I did 8 new build reviews in my office this week. 8.
Tell everybody what that actually means. What is that?
There might be one new launch, but
new build construction products. Now, almost all of them were inventories. Almost all of them were people who had defaulted on deals, and so they were being reset at different prices, and the builders were just selling them off. So these aren't new products. These aren't things that are coming to the market to solve the housing issue. But these products have been around for a long time, and they were not selling. And now they're hitting price points where people are jumping back in. New build first-time home buyers are in this market aplenty. Almost every single deal I have, new build first-time home buyers are in it. The first-time home buyer benefit past third reading for new build product, which is significant. Because remember, what we're talking about up to $1.5 million is like tens of thousands of dollars off every single product. People are still not building, again, which will cause recovery long term because no new product is coming to the market. But above all else, the resale market is proving to be quite healthy now. The amount of deals that are hitting our office are substantive. The breaches have stopped. The sellers have taken their hits. They have repriced their products. Because for the past year, power of sales have been forcing people to reprice. Power of sales have been replete across the system for about a year. And what power of sales do is they force you to reset your own pricing even if you can hold on. Because if your neighbor's house goes up beside you and sells for $550, even if you believe your property was $800 in 2022, there is a new variable that you need to consider. You know you're not getting $800 for your equivalent property next door. You know it. Mm-hmm. And that power of sale pricing has reset the residential market to a healthy state again, to a point where first-time home buyers are now jumping in. Investors are not yet jumping in. Although I'm hearing on the commercial side, I'm hearing that big smart money is now making their land investments with a 9-year hold. That's what I'm hearing from people I respect. They are going in, they're saying, if you have money to hold for 9 years, market is at nadir, buy now. So we're seeing that in terms of the billionaires making their money in 10 years, they're investing now, although we don't see that too much in the headlines. On the residential space, we're seeing prices having been reset through the mass power of sale process, which is allowing new people to come in. First-time home buyers have sat on the side for 10 years now, and there's a huge backlog of them, and they are invoking. We're seeing new build product sell out on inventory levels. And none of this is to say that there's hope for the future yet, because no new builders are producing new product. They're not coming to market with new product yet. But this is the change we've been hoping for. This is a floor. This is when you put a product out, there are now 3 fish for it at these new prices. When there are lineups that are taking place at the builder's office for the inventory that are being dumped. These stories are starting to percolate again, and I'm being part of them throughout my office. This is a change that's taken place in perhaps the last 3 weeks, maybe 4. I hope it portends a healthier spring. I was calling for a plateau at the end of 2020, mid-2027, but I'm starting to see the beginnings of it now. That's my personal take on what's going on.
So pricing is starting to come in line with where buyers' expectations are. So now they're seeing the value. I just had an idea. So after March 2025, the agreement of purchase sale has to be signed in order to get that GST credit. Obviously, the province will have their own. So eventually, if everything passes by next year, we should see you get 13% off $1 million home and all the other necessary adjustments. Could the builder then just re-sign a new APS and say,
No.
hey, you're a first-time buyer?
No, because there's actually, and I'm saying no specifically because there was, I read through some federal legislation that basically said for the assignment deals, there was a change to the assignment deals, and when they put that in place, they specifically said you are not allowed.
Original APSs.
Yeah, you're not allowed to terminate and then re-sign in order to avail. They specifically said that, and I'm guessing that they're going to say that.
What about switch units? You know, the builder says, hey, you're at 307, let's put you in 309.
Maybe, I mean, if you listen,
terminate the new deal, now you got a whole new deal, right?
Like, I mean,
that's a lot of money.
If you can get away with it,
that's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. It's so much money that there has to be some way of actually dealing with this and allowing people. It's a tremendous amount of money. It just is. So
for a developer to have $13 million basically in discounts they can offer on $100 million sales volume, they can basically say, look, we can offer $13 million discounts that aren't coming out of our pocket in order for all these people to be able to close. Let's rejig this and make it work.
Can I speak to the confidence developers have that this is coming down the pipe, which is really interesting? I just did 3 reviews for Kaivan Homes. I'm giving them credit. This is not a negative to Kaivan. This is a positive to Kaivan. So let's talk them up here.
Where is it? Where are they?
They're Pickering.
Okay.
They're Pickering. I don't know where.
That's okay. That's fine.
It's
905 builder.
Peter Pickering or something. What they did is they called it the Kaivan Guarantee, and what they said is, if you're a first-time home buyer, we will take this off the purchase price if this hasn't been passed by the time that we actually close on your deal.
That's kind of okay. That's another interesting one. What did we see? What did we see last time from Was it Mattamy or
Mattamy
Park?
Price guarantee. The Mattamy
price guarantee.
And frankly, Mattamy isn't expecting a lot of people to invoke that. And the reason is because what they do is they've repriced. No, what they did, it's quite brilliant. Mattamy is always brilliant this way. They raise their prices by about $50,000. Then they say to everyone, if you want the Mattamy price guarantee, great. Or you could take $50,000 off the purchase price right now, and there is no Mattamy guarantee. And every person who's come in with that has taken the $50,000. It's very, very, very brilliant. They know what they're doing.
I had a guy that I was talking to who sold a building, about 200 units, and he gave them after closing, if you are not happy, he will buy the unit back from him guarantee when he did a project in 2015.
Wow.
And I was just like,
Holy
I know.
Jesus.
Holy. And so the construction financing was happening because they were like, hey, you're after closing, we don't care what you do, right? And all the buyers were happy. The market made him look like a genius because of 2015 sales. Obviously, everyone was like, I don't want to return this unit. It's worth $200,000 more because it's at the price that you bought it for, right? And so he had that ability. So don't do that right now. But these little things are like needle movers. These are little sort of incentives, and it makes the layman person go, hey, there's a little bit of protection here, and that's what people need right now.
And the losses are still coming. And by the way, just because I always feel it's humbling, and I need to make it very clear that, this happens to all of us. I myself am closing on a Trinell product in 2 weeks where I have just been appraised. I have $150,000 to put into a project because of a misappraisal. It happens to you. It happens.
No blanket appraisal.
There is a blanket appraisal, but I want it to cash flow. Then I don't mind putting the $150 in, so I'm just doing it. Yeah, RBC,
you got that China money right now. So
RBC is providing a blanket appraisal. Blanket appraisals should be criminal. I don't understand how
they are. They should be. They are. They should be illegal, but they are criminal.
Why are we doing this? CMHC, which is all of us, depends on proper appraisals so that when these things come due, the Canadian public aren't on the hook. That blanket appraisals are being issued is totally them
Insanity.
just trying to basically get builders out from under their rock at the expense of
Protect
all
the
of
bank.
us.
Protect the bank.
Which is 100%
It's to protect the bank.
Yeah.
It's to protect the bank because
Oh,
they're
yeah,
making
yeah.
a they're making a bet saying, you know what, I'd rather have $100
Right.
million loans than $100 million loan, which
Yeah,
is
but
a
they're
very smart
doing
move.
but they're doing it with CMHC's permission. Like CMHC, you have to understand, who does this affect? It affects CMHC because if you're doing a blanket appraisal, what that means is that you're extending 80% on 800,000 as opposed to 550, say, hypothetically. And what that means is in 5 years, when they take their loss and they have a short sale, they're going to come to CMHC and say, CMHC, bail us out. And CMHC is just sitting there saying, it's more important for me that the builders not take their hits. We will agree to look the other way for these blanket appraisals. What the hell?
Yeah,
What the hell?
OSFI is really
Osprey should be
who's
regulated.
the one. Yeah, who's the one who's giving them
It's
permission.
crazy.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a
Osprey is
question.
the regulator. CMHC is going to be the insurer.
Yeah. But OSFI
It's
should
all
be stepping
fucking
in, saying, "Hey,"
bullshit.
and they've commented on it already too. Like they've been talking about it since they first started offering it.
They're not
They were
stopping. They're not
exactly.
stopping.
So
Like on my
they were
Tridel
saying,
product that I'm purchasing, where I'm $150,000 down, I basically said, "Look, guys, this is like not appraising well. I knew I had to close." And they're like, "Don't worry. Here's a blanket appraisal specialist. Here you go." Like they just have it ready.
Yeah.
It's the way
Why-
higher rates.
So let me ask you a question, though. I got a couple questions, but one is, like, I think even on our show, you've suggested to people to walk away and see
That's
what
my question, too.
happens.
Yeah.
Like, why did you choose to throw more gasoline at the fire?
I don't suggest you always walk away. I'm not
Yeah.
all that underwater. I'm underwater by about 150. That's what I'm down. But my deposits are 160. So, I mean, if you do out the math, if I walk away, I lose 160 right away, which is a sunk cost. And so you can do out the math and figure it out. But also, I have a professional reputation in this particular industry, and I made a decision
Tridel too. Yeah.
to do this. So there were other factors as well.
Give us an example of someone that should walk away, or that you know of that has walked away, or that you could dream of
When
that
is it
should walk away.
good?
Like,
Yeah.
there's got to be a scenario where, hey, because everyone right now is getting pressured by their realtor because the realtor wants the end of their commission. They don't want the clawback. The real estate lawyer who knows nothing about litigation is saying, hey, don't do it. You're going to get sued, not knowing what the result would be. Everybody's pressuring this poor buyer when I'm seeing cases where this person should have just not closed.
Should just not close. That's right.
Yeah.
Like, look, no one teaches you how to actually pull off the Band-Aid. Everyone teaches you how to keep floating. But if you're floating in the middle of the ocean with sharks all around you while bleeding, it's the same thing as pulling off the Band-Aid now. By the way, this is the worst analogy of all times. I hope you have a sound effect for bad analogies. But anyways.
You got to boo.
And so, yeah, all right.
A little late. Late on that one. Sorry.
So the answer is, you have to, the math of every single specific situation is important. So let's take an $800,000 condo that say is valued at say $550,000. So we're talking about a $250,000 hit. Okay, let's say you have $100,000 down. All right. At that point, you are in for $100,000. Builder's going to come after you for another $300,000. Let's just say hypothetically that that's what the lawsuit's going to be, after they account for the price differential and after they account for their interest costs and everything else. Well, if you are prepared to fight this and put down actual money, like it depends how your profile presents. If you're like a highfalutin guy that has 1 million properties, the builder's just going to say, we're coming after you and we want our money. But if you're like a normal person and you have like one property and you have a sob story and everything else, and if you're able to basically fight the defense and basically say, look, I'm wrong at law, it's true, but your damages claims are wackadoo. Let's discuss, let's get to pretrial, let's put an offer down. Then you may very well get away with $50,000, $100,000 as a payment, and they will let you go. Now, of course, it really depends on what the product is and how fast they've been able to move it, clearly. But usually, if you can put real money up, then they are often ready to walk away. The problem is you don't know if they'll walk away. So you have to do a
They
value.
won't tell you.
Right. You have to do a value assessment. And you basically have to say, okay, I'm going to assume that I can buy absolution here for $75,000. And once you make that assumption, and it's predicated upon like a history of watching people make these settlement offers and not go through all the way to trial. If you're stupid enough to go all the way to trial, you're going to lose. But if you're able to put money down, most people are settling, and that's that seems like on an $800,000 condo with $100,000 down as your deposits. An extra 75 may buy you absolution. And so what
instead of being 150K underwater, you're paying 75K plus the higher interest, plus the negative cash flow, plus all the other stress that you have to deal
plus
with.
the commission that you have to pay when you sell,
If
plus
you're going to sell,
exactly. And so all of this is problematic. Conversely, there's also things that can be done as people are entering into bad states where you may very well be able to take advantage of certain structuring issues. So as an example, once or twice, we've had professionals who have made bad bets. And we've opened up a corporation owned by their professional corp. And we have effectively assigned over to the professional corp. And what this does is it effectively means that all of the deposit money you're putting in is a loan to the corporation. Meaning that you can take out the money that you've already put in, right? You already have these sunk costs, but you can take that money out tax-free, which
as a loan repayment.
Right, as a loan repayment, right? Because of the assignment. So like you can think dynamically about ways to make things better with third parties like the CRA and others. And you can help people kind of understand by providing that critical information. Well, what is the likelihood of settlement? And you have to guess. You have to randomly guess. But you can kind of, if you're dealing with like a Tridel or a Minto product in the heart of downtown Toronto where the price is known and you know it's going to go pretty quickly, you can kind of go ahead and make that happen. That's what we do every single day. These are the talks that we have all the time.
Sort of late to the party there in that comment, but
yeah, I know. Well, it turns out I saw.
We've moved on, Mark. We've moved on. It's all good.
I will witness.
It's all good.
But like we've kind of forecasted, or at least I have, and I've heard other people thinking, at some point there's going to be just so many people in a building that don't want to close or can't close that the whole thing is going to unravel for everybody else.
I've heard Ron Butler speak about that a million times, and others.
Uncle Ron.
And I've never agreed with any of that. And the reason I've never
you never agreed with it ever.
I've never agreed with it, guys. And the reason is because once you are ready to, so what it is most builders have 20% down, right? Most of them have 20% deposits. The good ones, at least. And there are.
Do people take less?
There are
5%. I got one right now.
Some of them do, but most builders are doing 20%, and there are pools of capital out there ready to buy mass volume product at 50%. So really, what it is if in fact a builder runs into that type of problem, selling 30 or 40 units, taking a 30-point hit, and then using litigation as a recovery method, where they'll get back another 20 points. I mean, they'll be down 10 points, even though they're selling at 50 points off, if that makes some sense. The math doesn't really math. There are people who will take out, who are vicious sharks, who will take out huge amounts of units. Those capital pools exist, and I think that's one of the reasons we just haven't seen these buildings fail to close.
Right. I've heard of quite a few like bulk buys in the 600s or low 700s. I haven't heard much about that lately, to be honest with you, but maybe I'm not apprised. Oh, we lost Mark's video feed.
Sorry, guys. My apologies.
Yeah, no problem. How many condos are actually out there that are unsold in inventory? Because I've seen just in the last week, I've seen the number 4,000 or like just under 4,000, and I've seen just under 20,000.
Well, TK,
literally this
TK
week.
can speak to this, but by the height. So let's talk about the condo development cycle. So the condo development cycle is a 5-year cycle, meaning that 2022 to 2027. 2027 product is from 2022. We're now in 2026, so we're watching 2021 product. At the time of the 2021s and the 2022, banks were getting nervous because they were sensing the tremors in the market as well. And as a result, they were requesting 80% pre-sales. If a builder was holding back, they were holding back 20% of their units in a maximal sense because they had to sell 80 in order to get their financing.
Used to be a genius level move to hold back that last chunk so you could make more money, right?
Absolutely. So if anyone was playing that game by the time 2021 and 2022 rolled around, then that was 20%. I think a lot of people have since slowly divested themselves of whatever percentage they've held because they realize that this is a long-term funk. So I doubt that there are buildings that have that many, but whatever the amount of buildings still to come to market, I think it's reasonable. You guys are the experts in this, but I'll throw
about 4,000, like Darryl said, unsold,
Is that
already
true?
completed, unsold new, but like in a pipeline kind of thing. So not obviously.
So 4,000. So I'm
13,000.
10%, 10 to 15%.
I think it's more than 4,000.
And then 20,000 as far as like broad pipeline. We were told when I was, and this is nobody knows because sometimes inventory is not for sale. People are holding on to it. There's these backdoor deals. We were told like 25,000 at one point, and that was from large builders who are all connected with each other. And they said in total we have about 25,000 unsold inventory throughout like Southern Ontario.
Yeah, but remember, there's been something quiet taking place. Like the big guys operate in secrecy and in silence. As an example, when 2021 hit, and there was a mass repricing of real estate values to 60% loan to value. Like just people wrote them off on the books. Your real estate land holding was X, it's now 60% of that value. And everyone had to absorb that all in one given calendar year because that's the way commercial real estate works. They do things in bulk, they accept their hits, they understand haircuts, and they work in tandem with their financial institutions. If there was 25,000 units that were outstanding, I guarantee you that these are big guys. These are the Manamis. These are probably not the Tridels and Manamis, but whatever, whoever they are.
The biggest guys, all the biggest guys.
These guys were approached by the collective capital pools that were formulating when they sensed blood was in the water, and they have divested themselves of some of their product as well, en masse. They have the ability to get rid of. It's not like the pressure valve maintains itself. If you're ready to take your hits, and these big guys know how to take hits, then you can lower that number pretty significantly over the course of years. Those numbers may have been valid at one point. I doubt they're valid now.
Well, they're not definitely releasing anymore. There's very few projects right now. The only one, for example, Darryl's project and a few other select luxury projects, I think will be released. But for the most part, they just don't have the appetite for it right now. Even the low rise stuff is quiet. Sales centers are quiet. Like you were saying, there needs to be a price adjustment, but a lot of that you're seeing is inventory or it's failed deals. Assignment market's very active right now at $600 to $700 per square foot on stuff that sold for $1,300, initially. So, there is a price, there's a floor, like you're saying. But as far as new product coming onto the market right now, the appetite isn't there. And lenders aren't.
New product is not out there. And by the way, that's probably going to be the saving grace for all of us who are forced into our Tridel product this month. Who are taking a $150,000 loss because
which building is it, if you don't mind me asking?
Westerly, Westerly 2. I'm closing. I didn't. It was just like a 2-bedroom thingamajiggy that I ended up with.
It's nice. It's okay.
Where's that? Where is that?
I bought it for 1,000 a square. It's no longer close to 1,000 a square. There you go.
Where is it? Where?
It's where is it? Bloor and like Jane area, like the west end.
Okay.
But look, I bring this up because I don't want people to feel alone. Like you're not alone. A lot of people are going through this. Like, don't feel that you're alone in this. Hell, I got caught up in this. I made a lot of money before. Now you lose. Like this is what happens. This is part of life. It's part of investing.
It's a bad hand.
It is,
but it's a great part of your connection with your clients because you're dealing with this every day, and so now you're not just looking at it from your ivory throne.
Right. It allows me. Yeah, it gives me some empathy, of course, to what they're going through, and it also allows me to be very raw with them and say, "Look, you're screwed. Here it is. Let's deal with this." And don't think I'm not being empathetic. I'm in the same position myself. But you have to deal with this. So I'm not here to give you a pat on the back. That's not the job of the lawyer. Let's talk about functionally what we're going to do. And they understand that I'm not being an asshole. I'm just trying to get them through their position. The be-all and end-all, however, is that with new product that's not coming to the market, I think we all understand this because Canada is headed in a very different direction than it was a year or two ago because the Canadian market is doing much better than I think most of us would have expected given the political trends of the past year. And because our population immigration issues, and boy, did we have immigration issues over the past 10 years, have somewhat reverted back to norm. With a lack of supply, if you're able to hold for 3 or 4 years, you may very well go some way towards solving your problem of the hit that you're taking today. But you have to be able to hold, like anything else.
Are you a real estate agent and you're looking to make a change? Anywhere in Ontario, guess what? We're hiring. Franklin & Associates, #1 team in the GTA for all RE/MAX teams, #1 team for all teams from all companies for number of units sold throughout Toronto. So if you're looking to make a change, best decision I ever made was to join Franklin & Associates. Go to jointeamleo.com and we can set up a call.
You have to be able to hold. This is the problem, though, is everybody that went in was so fucking tight already, or beyond tight, okay? These people needed 18 other family members to sign on the dotted line to get the goddamn mortgage, right?
Well, the problem is that Canada is very poor. The problem is that Canadians are very poor. The problem is that we have shit incomes, and we don't actually, and our real estate values were about 60% greater than they should have been based on income. And as a result, every single person who's locked into these deals is now locked into a deal where they placed a fantastic bet with no cash in their wallet to buy new chips. And those guys are fucked. So it's a question of, can you hold? And if you can, then that is a viable option if you see the market turning around in 3 or 4 years, which I do. I don't see it ever going back to where it was. I'm not saying that. I'm saying to you that we're going to have normalized market progressions and it's going to start going up again because of a lack of supply. But again, can you hold? And no, the vast majority of people who purchase cannot.
But are we going to have like the foreign buyer or all the nonsense again? Like, how do we get to, are we going to get to a crazy level like we were at, or are we going to find a different kind of...
The foreign buyers were not because we're Canada, rah. It's not like China woke up one day and said, oh boy, Canada, we can invest there. I mean, they don't give a shit about us. The reason they were investing in us was because we were in bubble territory. The reason they were investing in us is the same reason that people were investing in the S&P and the tech stocks in 2021 and now in artificial intelligence. It's because there's a lot of money to be made when you're in a bubble. And if we remove the protections that were put in place during the height of bubble, it's not like there's going to be a mass flood of people who are coming back to Canada to engage in speculative real estate, because that speculative real estate bubble is gone. And so the very market impetus that drove that decision is no longer there.
These are smart people. These are foreign investors. Right. They're not dummies.
Right.
Yeah.
The really interesting thing that I'm noticing in my office is we are experiencing something I haven't experienced in 25 years, which is we are getting a crap ton of U.S. expats that are now buying back in Canada. I was saying it privately to a bunch of
Canadians who lived in the U.S. and they're
moving back.
Moving back.
Okay.
We are seeing that happen now more and more and more. Now, granted, I'm not trying to make this into a political thing, but 50% of America is liberal and 50% is conservative, roughly equally divided. The 50% that is liberal are moving back from high-value cities, and they can afford Toronto real estate. And the amount of Americans that I have on my roster who are making inquiries and buying Canadian real estate is at a level that I have never seen before. It massively outweighs the Canadians that are moving to the States from the sales side. And that is
opposite for me. But I just don't have a funnel of Americans coming to me. And so I'm representing sellers in Toronto. So obviously I'm seeing a lot move into the States, right?
Yeah, no, listen, that's always been I've always seen people move to the States. That's been the dynamic for years. Yeah. The flow is now becoming significant enough for me to speak about on shows. Like, I'm telling you, this is a dynamic that is now at play. And it's very interesting to see because it's a lot of money that's now coming in. These are people who are coming in having earned their money in the States. It's kind of like the reverse Florida. It's very weird. Canadians have always given massive subsidies to the States because we would earn a whole bunch of money and then we would spend it out in Florida while we had our dying years. What we're seeing now is a trend. I'm not talking about anything significant. I'm not saying it's overwhelming. I'm not saying there aren't more Canadians moving down to the States. I'm saying it's just a difference we're now seeing a component of Americans moving back to Canada for their retirement years. And that's something I've never seen.
Makes sense. Yeah. Bring
Why
the
does
dollar,
it make sense? Because of the dollar
the dollar? Yeah. And
Yeah.
political climate. Yeah.
and political climate? Because they
Yeah.
can't stand Trump anymore.
Well, they're not coming from Louisiana, guys.
They're not coming from Louisiana. You
No,
heard it
no,
here.
No hit to Louisiana. Shout out
Well,
Louisiana.
Mark,
Come
as
forward.
always,
That was great.
as always, you shed light on so many things. I
Love
don't
it.
know what any of them were at this point in time,
We're
but
gonna
it
clip
was
though.
a lot
It's
of
gonna-
fun.
It's gonna be great.
Thank you for your audio. We appreciate the effort. That was fantastic.
The audio was quality with a K. Quality
With
a K.
a
We should have
K.
tested it. We're just starting a new software, so
see?
we'll figure it out.
I'll take a hit on that. That is my fault.
All right, guys.
Mark, appreciate the time, sir.
My best. Have a good one,
Thank
guys.
you.
Enjoy the
Have a
weekend.
good one.
Bye-bye.
Whoa, TK, that guy is always action packed.
He's got 10 different things going on at the same time. He's just a little. He's like the entrepreneur or lawyer version of you, just that entrepreneurial grit. You know. He's
Oh
out there.
man, you see, I went for lunch or breakfast with him a few months ago, and he was telling me about the EVs, and he's like at the epicenter of bringing these EVs from China, and I was like, what
Yeah.
the fuck? Like, how the hell did you get into that? Like, you're
Yeah.
just a real estate lawyer, for God's sakes. But I don't know how he went there. He got the bug. And I see
Yeah.
all these people that when they go to China for the first time and they come back, they're like, holy Jesus.
We're doing it wrong over here. Yeah.
What the hell is going on here in Canada? It's
You don't even need to go there. You
ridiculous.
can just, honestly, like look at some videos and see what's going on there and see that
It's
we're behind. Or just talk to somebody who's from China here. They'll tell you
It's so crazy.
how antiquated our system is.
We're supposed to have another guest on the show, but every time last time he figured out how to get on, but now he's
Let's
like here.
let's
but he
forget
can't
about him.
get
We
on.
only got 10 minutes left, so let's just
We're gonna have to
chat me and
forget
you.
about
So we
him
got some
again.
big news, me and you.
We got some big news, me and you.
Yeah, we got
TK.
some big news. We
We got some big
basically
news.
have got the greatest project to ever hit the streets of Forest Hill okay.
To grace the streets of Toronto.
of the
TK.
Forest Hill Village and the luxury market in Toronto. One Thelma. What
One Thelma.
what a project! 16 luxury bespoke units in Forest Hill Village for people who are looking for a change in lifestyle, something that they've never seen before, something that they have been craving. They didn't know what they needed because it's
They
never been
didn't know.
offered to them before. And
It's
now
never been offered.
coming in 2026, as far as the sales component goes, and being supported, marketed, and promoted by Frank Leo and Associates.
Isn't that just amazing?
So harmonious,
Holy
from the
cow.
ground up to the crane in the sky. We've got a great story here. I love it.
I don't think most of the listeners of the show actually know how. Did we talk about how like you brought it to me on the show and we just ended the show? We got to find that episode.
Sure. We looked at a site based on, I don't even know what they were trying. They were selling like infill lots or something. I don't even know what it was, but they were trying to
I
sell
remember
something that was
exactly.
not right. It was like a townhouse and an infill, or I don't know.
I remember exactly what it was, and
Yeah.
you brought it up on the show like so nonchalant, like it was like a dumb thing that you were bringing up. You were like, maybe
I was asking you or something.
You're
I was
like
just like,
throwing
hey,
a
like,
lob.
yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
here, let's try this one out. This came across my desk. Somebody in the office was working on it. Okay,
Yeah.
and so what you brought me was this big long brochure, and most people probably just got to the top and said like, "What the hell is this?"
I don't want to
'Cause
build a home in Forest Hill. Yeah.
It was like two semis on one property.
Yeah.
Okay, on 17 and 19 Thelma, you could buy this and build semis. And then there was the one Thelma, which
Yeah.
was a single house, which you could
Yeah.
buy this and build your dream home, one house. And then all the way down at the bottom in like little print, it says, if you want all 10 properties,
Yeah.
this is the price.
Here's the
And I
price.
was like, pause.
Yeah.
TK, we're going in full ask right now. Let's
Yeah.
go. I got to get this thing. This is the
Yeah.
best deal I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And
Because of the show, how you and I had been interviewing city planners and keeping up with all of the new planning and expanding housing options in neighborhoods and everything else that they were doing to increase density, we were at the forefront of the changes. So we knew changes before they happened, right? And you especially, because that's your business, but that's what made it so amazing is because we
Well-
did the show, and because we did the show, that project came available, and you had all the knowledge to know exactly what to do with it.
Thank God, because honestly, it is like the best deal I ever saw.
And
I knew it
We stole
like
it. We stole
instantly.
it. We stole it.
In hindsight, we stole it, but
We
most
stole it.
people thought I was a fucking idiot. The
We stole
people
it.
selling it to me thought they ripped me off.
Everybody
right?
was like,
Everybody was like, "What?"
Daryl
is
didn't
this
say
guy
what it was.
doing?
He was just like, yeah, townhouses.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
sure,
do you remember
sure,
the
sure.
meeting with the lender?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
the
nobody
lender-
knew. Nobody had a clue, and
No.
they knew afterwards. But that was too late at that point.
Well, now, but
Yeah.
I mean, as we dug through, you start to realize that there was a lot of hair on that dog, and there's all the rental replacement nonsense, which is
Sure.
still a goddamn impediment.
Sure.
And it will be a costly impediment, but it's an interesting deal. And I mean, the real reason why most people passed up on it forever, or why the last buyer couldn't figure it out, is because TK, nobody was crazy enough to do 2 deals to get
They
this
didn't
deal.
think. They
right?
didn't think about 2 deals.
They didn't even
Daryl.
think
They didn't
about
think
2
don't,
deals.
You're giving them too much credit. No one
Too
was
much
even
credit?
thinking about that. You found a solution, and you happened to be crazy enough to do 2 deals at the same
That's
time.
right. Yeah.
Yes.
See, I had to be crazy, and
Yeah.
that was my edge. But you know what else had to happen in order for this to actually come together, TK? Is that son of a bitch had to fuck me out of that deal on Tyndall. And by son of a bitch, you know who
Yeah.
I'm talking about. That
Yeah.
goddamn
Thank God.
sucking son
Wow,
of a bitch.
you would be up the
Thank
river without
God.
a paddle on that deal right now.
I would be so
Yeah.
fucked. Like
Because
I
that
was,
deal doesn't happen in this market.
yeah, I was talking to
Yeah.
my wife the other day, going like, "Thank God he fucked us again."
He
And
paid
listen,
you back. He paid you back.
his intent was not to help us out. His
Sure.
intent was to fuck the shit
You guys
out
are
of me,
even now,
right?
though. You're good, right?
No, he's got 2. I've got 0. He's winning.
No
He's
way.
fucked the shit
No
out of me.
way. He helped you. He helped you.
Well, listen.
Anyways, let's move
in
on
retrospect.
from that. Let's move on from that.
Yes.
So,
but thank God, because I would be like the rest of them, stuck in a high-rise, typical building that I couldn't do anything with, couldn't
Yeah.
launch, couldn't even have a shred of confidence in.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh my God! Thank God he did that. That son of a bitch. But
okay,
TK,
okay.
now that I'm back,
So we got
We,
the site. We got the site. We bought the site. It's an amazing site. Frank and myself both believed in you. We didn't look at
that's right.
anything other than, hey, Daryl believes in this site, and we believe in Daryl, so we became part of the partnership. We've got some great partners all across the board. This is like a super team of people
Super
who are,
team.
who are all like literally the best at what they do in all areas. And we are going to be selling One Thelma very soon. And I
Very
mean,
soon.
the lineups of people and the calls and everything else we've already got in from not even starting yet is already amazing. So,
Yeah, and actually, I got to send you that list today of all the previous people.
Yeah.
Now, somebody in the comment section says, TK, that oh my God, now you guys are on Saturday. You fucking up my Sunday. I was
Nope.
used to listening on Sunday, but that couldn't be further from the truth. I can't read because I'm not wearing.
we'll see you tomorrow. This show will be
T-Bone
edited
Slim.
and it'll be awesome.
It
Sunday
will be-
morning.
Yeah,
8 a.m.
Sunday show is different than this show. It's the podcast. It's the same topics and the same people, but
It might be the same show, but
it
just
might
a
even be
little
the same
shorter.
show, but it
Cleaner.
looks a little bit better and it's a lot cleaner than this monster of a mess. But I think this will get better. But
Yeah.
we will be there. If you want to stay Sunday, just ignore us on Saturday. This is for people that want to have a good time, TK, and want to watch us.
Comment, interact, and make sure that everybody's super happy. Trent's here. This is great.
Trent's here.
Trent
Deflation.
heading into deflation. It's going to get far worse. Okay,
Far worse.
we believe
TK,
you. We believe you.
I feel bad.
After we sell One Thelma, whatever you want to happen, Trent is fine with us.
After we're done and
Yep.
we get into construction, then I suppose I truly feel, TK, I've said it for a long time, this thing is an anomaly and we are going to prove it very soon and everything will be wonderful. I feel bad. Like Dave's been waiting for a long time. We got to at least let him say hi, TK. Like give
Sure.
him 2 minutes at the end of the show.
Last minute here. Okay.
Okay. Dave, I mean, last time he had fan issues.
Oh my
There he is.
God! Here we go.
Oh
Hey guys,
my gosh. This is going to be a trip, TK. You
Is
ready?
this John? John, are you related to Precon John? Do you know Precon John? Do you know him?
We go way back. No, I don't know who that is. I have no
Precon
idea.
John. Okay, all right. No problem.
Dave, tell everybody who you are and what you're doing here.
Oh boy, it's been 2 years since I've been on your show the last time. We were supposed to talk about, I don't know how much time we had. So I think you said we had 2 minutes, but we were going to talk about AI being everywhere, taking all kind, like changing work.
Yeah, let's go.
And then
From chatbots recommending homes on real estate apps to algorithms predicting market trends, all this stuff is happening, right? And it's revolutionizing healthcare as well. Doctors
Tell
are
us.
I could tell you.
Let's go. Get into it.
I don't know how
Let's
much
go,
time
buddy.
this is.
it's your moment, Dave. Don't screw it up. Come on, let's go. This is your moment.
Okay.
on.
Artificial intelligence is affecting everything, including my work in people that are in functional medicine. Doctors are increasingly being trained in that. But we should worry about our health first, because I hear all kinds of people talking about money this, money that, real estate this, real estate that. Well, you're not going to be able to live anywhere if you're sick or you're not living. And AI is affecting everything, and we're going to see more of that. More people are are putting their blood work into AI, and it's interpreting everything, but they don't realize there's way more to it than blood work. Blood work is very limited. It's kind of like I was talking about 2 years ago, where politicians are just treating the symptoms. They're not addressing the root causes, right?
So we're looking forward to AI helping us live longer. I heard we are living longer, and I think AI is definitely going to contribute to a little bit of a boost in my life, and I'm hoping that it's going to make me look a little bit younger eventually too. But I don't know. I guess time will tell.
It is true we're living longer, but we're living poorer quality lives. We're being kept on life support, basically, with more drugs, more.
I can't hear him. Can you
Dave,
hear him?
Yeah.
Sound cut out,
Oh.
and that means we're at the end of our show. But we appreciate you. Thank you
I
for
can't
watching
hear
the
him.
show. Darryl, thank you
TK?
for joining me today.
Oh,
Mark,
now we lost him.
thank you for joining today. Hopefully we clean up your mic. Guys, if you're listening to this and you haven't liked, commented, subscribed, if you haven't double subscribed like Tom, Steve, and Don, you got to ask yourself a question. Do you really want to fix the show?
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe. I'm double subscribed. Do it yourself. Didn't get to fix the show, though. Didn't get to fix the show.
Like, comment, subscribe. I'm double subscribed. You should be double subscribed. And I fixed the show. Like, comment, subscribe. Double subscribe. I'm double subscribed. And I fixed the show. I fixed the show.
What is going on, TK?
Darryl, I'm going to the hockey game tonight with my dad. I got free tickets from a client. So that's awesome. And I don't love the Leafs, but I'll cheer them on tonight, okay, against Tampa Bay Lightning.
You have a good time. I don't know if there's anybody left that cares about hockey, but it seems like they're still buying those tickets for, just crazy.
More money than they should.
I was in some crazy seats last week. I can't even believe that somebody thought it was worth taking me to those seats. But apparently, TK, when you have a
it's
project,
a good show. It's a good show
that might actually, go somewhere. You are something
getting
these
wined
days.
and dined. I feel like I'm getting wined and dined with these free tickets tonight too. So it feels nice.
All right. Well, you have fun, and I'm sure we'll talk soon. Everybody, thanks for being here once again.
Enjoy the weekend. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning and every other day after that. Adios, amigos.